Hi and welcome to Wieczkowski Tarot with me, Wieczkowski. Today I'm looking at a prediction for the month of April, and this star sign we are focusing on is Libra. So you Libras, this is potentially going to be your month of April. I've drawn 6 cards. We've got 4 cards representing the month as a whole, and then we've got 2 cards for what to release and what to embrace. So for you Libras, we have got Death, the Hierophant reversed, the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Wands, and what to release we've got the Knight of Cups, and what to embrace we've got the Four of Wands. Now immediately it feels to me that this month, we're gonna just look at the month for now, we'll focus on the release and embrace later. Now, it feels like to me that this month is going to be a really good month for you to reflect and to focus on yourself. This is really a really good month for you to do this. So we're starting with Death and the Hierophant reverse. Now, these 2 cards are calling out to me because it feels like perhaps there's a part of you, you're going to go through a real transformation this month. There's a part of you that is going to be left behind. That is this very sort of maybe this intolerable kind of character. Perhaps if you in the past have sort of had problems with like lack of patience, or perhaps this sort of desire for authority, it feels like this part of yourself is going to essentially die. You're going to depart with this character, this sort of need for authority, this very conservative character. It feels like this kind of conservative attitude or this conservative front that you've sort of had or been experiencing lately, it feels like this part of you is going to die, is going to depart with you, and you're going to have a real opportunity to transform and no longer serve this character of yours. Now, Death is a very daunting card, obviously, to begin a reading with, but it is actually very positive for the beginning of this reading because it really does hone in on this fresh start, new sort of birth, this real opportunity to release parts of yourself that no longer serve you, that no longer feel like you anymore. And to sort of hone in on this idea of a fresh start, we have got 2 aces in Cups and Wands. Now these really literally mean fresh start, new start, starting again, starting from the beginning. And it feels like by getting rid of this conservative character of yours and this conservative person that's inside you, you're going to have way more opportunity to embrace a more emotionally available and creative, passionate character of yourself. You're sort of going to be looking at the Ace of Wands, and you're going to be a lot more sort of nurturing to yourself. You're going to be very focused on your own sort of emotional well-being, emotional growth. You've got a lot of potential inside you that you've perhaps not been nurturing, that you've perhaps been neglecting recently. And perhaps it could be that maybe you saw that being an emotional person, a very emotionally available person, was not very strong of you, perhaps, if you've struggled with sort of being open with your emotions. Now is your month to sort of actually embrace that side of yourself. And in terms of the Ace of Wands, it feels like perhaps if you had this sort of underlying passion or this underlying very creative side of yourself, it's going to be a chance for you to embrace that part of yourself as well. Obviously, with everything that is going on at the moment, we have a lot of time with ourselves, and we have a lot of time to learn new things about ourselves. So maybe you have an old hobby that you haven't picked up in a while, that you've actually now got the time to sort of be like, oh, I used to really enjoy singing, or I used to really enjoy dancing, or I used to really enjoy anything that sort of brought the passion out of you. And it feels like this is going to be your sort of month to actually embrace that side of you and actually relight that sort of spark within you that gave you a lot of passion and gave you a lot of happiness. And obviously creativity doesn't necessarily refer only to the arts. Anything could be seen as creative. It could be baking, it could be any kind of hobby that actually just brought you a lot of happiness and passion. And it feels like this is actually going to be your month to drop this kind of I'm in charge act and focus more on a more and focus on more being yourself, essentially, and actually doing things that nurture and light the fire within you, essentially, so to speak. And then we look at what to release and what to embrace. So we have got the Knight of Cups for what to release and the Four of Wands for what to embrace. Now, immediately, the Four of Wands obviously connects itself with the Ace of Wands, with this idea of being very open with your sort of passionate creativity, being really like embracing this real connection you have with things that bring you happiness, desire, passion, really feeling connected to it and feeling like you are actually able to expose that part of yourself and feeling happy whilst doing it and finding strength within doing this as well. And perhaps this will actually lead to further connections with other people who also have the same sort of hobbies, the same passions. There's a lot of connectivity and a lot of sort of learning that you can get from just embracing these parts of yourself. And I feel like this is really urging you to do so, because it's going to bring you a lot of further stability. It's going to bring you a lot of strength, and it's going to bring you a lot of good things eventually, so long as you embrace it. There's a lot of passionate energy coming from these cards. And then what to release, we have got the Knight of Cups reversed. Perhaps this card is sort of saying that what you need to release is this kind of idea that you've previously had, that you kind of have to be going somewhere, that everything you do has to be productive, so to speak, and everything that you do has to sort of be applied to sort of get you somewhere. It sort of feels like something that you have to release is this sort of not stopping sort of mentality, where you're not allowed to take a break, you're not allowed to pause, you're not allowed to actually just be, which kind of ties itself into, I've lost the card, here he is, this character of always having to be in charge, always having to do something, always having to be authoritative and doing something, and not giving yourself time to reflect. It feels like that's something that you need to let go of, and something that you need to as well as embracing the Four of Wands, you need to embrace this idea of pausing and reflecting, which is something you perhaps have neglected in the past. Because if you don't pause and reflect on your emotional well-being and what brings you this emotional well-being and this happiness, then how are you supposed to know? So it's something that you should really focus on, is what you're actually doing and what it's doing for you, as opposed to where it's getting you. So that is the month of April for Libras. I hope you enjoyed your reading. I hope you got the message out of it that you wanted to. I hope it resonated with you. Please let me know everything in the comments. I would love reading them. And I've left all my links in the description. We've got Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and there's also a link for a donation if you feel so inclined to leave one. If not, thank you for joining in. Thank you for supporting me. I hope you liked your reading, and I'll be here next month. Please like and subscribe. That's something I keep forgetting to say. So thank you.